Hi everyone, how are you all doing? Hope you're having a nice weekend. Today's episode 4th, and I wanted to start with a real question. What if our mistakes were not really mistakes? What if all of the versions of us, the persistent one, the awkward, the angry, the one that gave up, what if they all still exist right now somewhere? That's the heart of the movie that I watched in 2 days. That's the movie that came up in 2022, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Let me know if you guys have seen it, because it blew my mind and I just had to talk about it. It's wild. There are talking rocks, there are raccoon chefs, IRS kung fu battles, black hole bagel. But none of that is really the point. That movie at its core, I felt, is about what does it mean to be alive when everything feels meaningless. Tell me you haven't felt it. In a world where nothing makes sense, you're overwhelmed by everything, and everything and everywhere all at once. That's the movie's name, I guess. That's why. So it's about this woman, Evelyn Wong, who is just trying to survive. Her marriage is drifting apart. Her laundromat is crumbling. She's having issues with taxes. Her daughter and her relationship is really bad. But then reality cracks. And I was like, what? She's pulled into this multiverse where there are infinite versions of herself. Some are powerful, some are broken, some are just absurd. It's funny. And the villain is her daughter, in a fractured cosmic form in another timeline, who believes that nothing matters. And I felt this is not just science fiction, it is spiritual fiction. I'm open to argue. Because all of those Evelyns in all of these different timelines, they're all her, right? They're all us, and the only way to move forward is to stop running from them and start integrating them, which is what happened, which is how the movie ends. But I'm not gonna end it. I'm gonna keep going. So that's what the whole movie is about. The fragments of self, and I want to go slow because it's deep. The fragments of self, the ones we repress, we abandon, we forget, they're still part of us. And we cannot escape them, right? Not through success, not through success, not through perfection, our ideals of perfection, not through distractions, right? The only way out is into the present moment, where everything we have been can finally come home. So let's ask together, because it's a process for me too. I'm not immune to this. Okay? I'm not talking to you. I'm having a discussion here, and Let's explore this together. So what versions of us have we disowned? What timeline still tugs at us? And I'm laughing because I know what timeline that is. Still processing some of this. Waiting to be felt, healed, forgiven. Right? Can we allow this scattered parts of us to return? Not to fix them, but to complete us. Because I think we are under this illusion that doing is living, but presence is not passive. It is actually a very radical act of integration. To me, that's actual very active action, I feel. Okay. I'm gonna start with Evelyn's husband, Waymond. He's quiet, he's awkward, he's full of love. He's daydreaming about his wife being affectionate towards her in the movie. And he drops one of the deepest lines in the whole movie, which is, when I choose to see the good side of things, I'm not being naive. It's strategic and necessary. That made me think of Justice card in Tarot, right? Because it's a active choice to align with truth, with it's not cold judgment, but conscious discernment. So it made me question, like, which part of us already knows the truth, but we are scared to act on it. That part of us is scared to act on it. I want to be very particular here. The part of us. What would it look like to stop splitting ourselves between right and wrong and to just choose real, what we're actually feeling in the moment? And that takes its own effort, I feel like, to know exactly what you're feeling and what is real, that discernment. Because emotions can be, they're not always helpful. I feel like you need discernment there. So, and what exactly the Wayman's line, what would change for us if we started seeing kindness as a strategy, not as a softness, a weakness, right? It is so powerful. Again, here. So yeah, food for thought. Kindness as a superpower. So next, what was interesting for me was that there's this version of her husband from a different timeline who comes to her because he needs her help. And he says, you're capable of anything because you're so bad at everything. It sounds like a joke, right? But it's actually the Fool card. And you know how powerful the Fool card is in Tarot. Or even if you don't know Tarot, that energy of willing to begin again, without shame, very important, without shame. So really good questions here are, that I thought about, is that where are we still waiting to be ready before we leap? Because I have found myself just waiting until I'm ready, and you just lose opportunities and you will never be ready. You just need to be willing to take the next step, right? So yeah, and another one that came up was a big one. Can I let go of the fear of looking foolish? That was a big one for me. And this channel, starting this channel, was a big part of going through that, integrating that process of why am I feeling this, what am I feeling. So this is actually helping me resolve a lot of my self-worth issues. So can we bring this curious, unburdened version of ourselves into the present timeline? Right? Yeah. It's powerful. So next, very interesting, the villain of the story, or the movie rather, is Jobu Tupaki. Right? So we're going darker now, deeper, because she is dark. Jobu Tupaki, she's Evelyn's daughter in another timeline, like I mentioned. And she creates the everything bagel. What is this bagel? It is a black hole of all of her experiences, her hurts, emotions, thoughts, compressed into this one point of collapse. And she says, nothing matters. Like, she is at the point where she sees there's no point of anything in her life. Nothing matters. Good, bad, love, she doesn't feel anything. Yeah. So, and honestly, haven't we felt that at one point or the other? Right? Where everything we believed about ourselves is falling apart. Isn't that the tower? No, it's not at all fun, but it is what it is. The tower moment in tarot, right? But sometimes the collapse is not the end. It's the clearing before the rebuilding. That's what we learned, right? In our lives. And I was going back to Gurbani for this, and Gurbani reminds us that all this attachment, all this ego is an illusion. So let's breathe into this one, because it's a difficult one, right? What's already breaking in our lives, and we're still trying to tape it back together? And what if this falling apart is holy? Right? What if this falling apart is holy? Yeah. Next was really beautiful, because kind of coming back together, where the husband, Raymond, says that in all that mess, Evelyn is confused, and he says that please be kind, especially when we don't know what's going on, which is most of the time. We never know what's going on. Life is messy, relationships are confusing, the news is nonsense and fear-mongering. Our inner voice won't shut up. Sometimes it feels like that. But kindness, it really made me think. Kindness is like the Temperance card. Kindness teaches us to hold opposites. Pain and joy, loss and wonder, confusion and stillness. Together, all of these polar opposites, energies together in grace. That's what temperance is. And it made me wonder, like at the end of the collective prayer, the Sikhs come together and say this in the end, Nanak Naam Chardi Kala, Tere Pane Sarbat Da Bhala, which means that may we all rise in spirit through remembrance, and may all creation be blessed. It is a very active choice here of choosing kindness. So can we still choose kindness when life feels like it's spinning out? Not as a feeling, because feelings change all the time, but as a wow. Can we choose temperance as a wow, not as a feeling? What if balance isn't something we achieve, but something we practice moment by moment? Because this is difficult. It takes a lot of practice, right? You need to keep doing it every day. Small steps, baby steps. Consistency is what matters here. And let's zoom out again, because that's what happened in the movie. I loved it. I love seeing the bigger picture, because I'm an air sign, maybe that's why. We are so small. Like, I loved that. I would recommend you watch this movie because it's really good, the production. Like, we are a flicker in the zoom of this reality called time, which is actually not the truth, quantum physics, but you know, from the mind perspective, we are a breath inside billions of galaxies. We are a single thought in the mind of the spirit God, whoever made us, who made the whole creation. And yet we laugh, we love, we choose, right? And to me, that's the star energy. Why? Because it's the hope that doesn't need evidence. You are the evidence, right? So it's the light that doesn't ask permission to shine. And Gurbani does talk about it, that Jin Prem Kiyo Tin Hi Prab Payo. This is the 10th master. He says that only through love can the divine be found. You cannot find the divine through your intelligence, because you will learn humility if you try. It's a whole paradox in itself, but only through love. And I feel like maybe being small is not the problem. Maybe it's a miracle, right? And in this vast universe, cosmos, there are billions of universes, so I don't even know what to say here. What makes our story matter is the question, and it's a relevant question, right? What value, no matter how small, are we willing to stand for? What are we choosing here, right? What are we standing for? And can we believe in the beauty of our smallness, not as a weakness, but as a wonder? Isn't it wondrous, like we exist? We all matter. We all have a place here, and it's not for anyone else to decide that. Embrace yourself, embrace your presence and what you bring to the table. And in the end, I will just say that this whole movie really made me question, like, if every version of us exists, what do we want to be in this one, right? The bitter one, the overwhelmed one, the overextending one, or the kinder one, the one who forgives themselves and chooses to show up anyway, the one who says, I may be a tiny, tiny flicker in the whole universe, but I'm going to love, and that's what matters. And I also want to add, very important here, that integration, the parts work, if you're not aware of it. Again, I'm not a psychologist. This is just, we all have minds, we all have emotions. So you don't have to be a psychologist to know that. We can all, information is so openly shared these days. We all have the right to know what we need, right? So if the warrior, the failure, the healer, the one who gave up, all these parts of us, they're all real, then the only way to live fully now is to bring all of them back into the present, right? Not to fix them, but to listen, really listen. And they talk, they do talk. They talk through our dreams, through our emotions, through mirroring in other people, in our physical reality. We can see them. We'll definitely see them if we are listening, which is a main point here, listening. And to love them and be kind to them and to integrate them, because the present moment, this one, right here, is the only timeline that's real, right? Where we can do something. So let's not escape into what could have been. Let's not drown in what wasn't. Let's not choose that version. Let's choose this version, this body that we have been gifted, this timeline where we are right now, this heart, you know. So that is beating. I am so amazed every single time I hear my heartbeat, because it has something to say, right? It has a purpose. And even if nothing matters, we will. So that's all my rambling. I would love to hear from all of you in the comments. What do you think? Have you seen this movie? These concepts in general are like my favorite concepts. Something I can talk about for hours and days and months and years. It's fascinating to me, and I would love to hear from all of you. And I'll see you again. Take care. Goodbye.